So this may or may not be the last review I do for 2016, and while I personally had some awesome things happen this year, I don't think I'm alone in saying the rest of the year can suck it. Any year that starts with Bowie's death and ends with Tangerine Satan ascending to his throne is officially the worst. But here's some sickly sweet Canadian optimism for you. We live in a world where we will have a new Star Wars movie from 2015 to 2019. I don't care how bad your year was or the fact that Trump is becoming the Emperor incarnate, if every December is like that, we can end this year the same way they ended Rogue One, with a little hope. We also live in a world where we've had 8 Star Wars films, so we've seen it all. The good, the bad, and the really entertaining but suspiciously familiar. And since the inception of the franchise in 1977, every generation has owned their own little piece of the story. Now, I was a little too young for the original trilogy, but I was just the right age, ending high school, for that debacle in the late 90s and early 2000s. Yeah. Lucky me. So while 70s children got A New Hope and J.J. Abrams brought this generation new hope with The Force Awakens, let's be honest, J.J. kind of played it safe. Yeah, he made a very entertaining blockbuster, but he didn't really take any chances. And now we have Rogue One, which you gotta admit is also a little safe. I say that because for all intents and purposes, this is another prequel. It's sandwiched between the story of Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. And because of that, the story has to be limited. There's only so far you can take it. And unfortunately, that also means we kind of know how it's going to end. Yes, I do understand that Rogue One, like the other prequels, you do happen to know where they're going to end up, but you don't know how they're going to get there. And of course, that's arguably the most exciting part. But what I'm basically saying is that at the heart of Rogue One, it's a heist film. They have to steal the plans to the Death Star. Oh, I really hope they can pull this one off. Oh wait, we've known that for 40 years. So yes, it does kind of lessen the tension, doesn't it? Now, that's not to say that I didn't enjoy myself. I didn't enjoy the excitement of the film or enjoy the new characters, but the fact is, I think it's fair to say I wasn't as attached to these characters because I knew most of them ain't gonna make it. At best, it was a dirty dozen kind of situation. But part of you actually still gets invested. In fact, Jimmy Smits has a cameo as his character, Bail Organa. And near the end of the film, he says, well, I'll be on Alderaan. And part of you goes, don't go. Speaking of old dead characters, let me preface that while Rogue One was pinned down in terms of the story it could tell, Gareth Edwards and his filmmaking team still did take chances. Chance number 1, bring back the iconic Grand Moff Tarkin and resurrect Mr. Peter Cushing using Disney CGI magic. Now, in the past 2 instances of Disney de-aging, I marveled at how realistic young Michael Douglas and even younger Robert Downey Jr. looked, but with Grand Moff Tarkin, it wasn't quite there, almost like they used a new process. I felt like I wasn't watching Peter Cushing, but Davy Jones. No, the pirate Davy Jones. But Disney, of course, can do no wrong. Chance number 2, introducing those aforementioned new characters. Now, I have to praise not only the cast, but the writing team for creating these great characters, knowing what a short time they had on screen, and that they were pretty much just a one-off. Felicity Jones as Jyn Erso brought audiences another strong female warrior character to look up to. That's 2 in a row for Star Wars movies. Diego Luna as Cassian Andor was a slick mix of Desperado and Han Solo. And Donnie Yen brought some kick-ass action to this film and some much-needed spirituality to the Star Wars universe. And if Rogue One has taught me anything, again, it's that you get Alan Tudyk to play your robot. But if I can go back to spirituality for a second, let me talk about chance number 3 that the filmmaking team took, and that is no Jedis. And I want you to think about that because the Force is not only the glue of the Star Wars universe, but it's basically a deity within the rules of this universe as well. And you can extend that metaphor to make the Jedis the archangels, carrying out this righteous battle of good versus evil. But in this story, no Luke, no Yoda, and Obi-Wan is just mentioned in passing, not even by name. You'll notice I didn't say anything about no Vader. I've always found that Gareth Edwards finds a very careful balance to all of his films, sometimes to his detriment. Because you take Godzilla, for example, it's not only a monster movie, but it's character-driven. And most people didn't like character, story-driven monster movies. But with Rogue One, he finds a careful balance and doesn't fall back on tropes or iconic characters too much, like Grand Moff Tarkin or Darth Vader. Having said that, the roughly 10 minutes of screen time that Vader gets is arguably the greatest 10 minutes in the entire Star Wars franchise, at least the ending. Edwards once again takes a chance with this character and gives us a Vader we've never seen before because he is such a savage for giving me goosebumps and making my jaw drop, which does not happen in movies very often. Darth Vader is Rogue One's for the win. Here's the thing though, there's no Jedi because it's not their story. Because of that, we get to see much more of the Empire, more than just Palpatine, Vader, and Tarkin. Because of that, we get to see more of the Rebellion, more than just Luke, Leia, and Han. And because of that, we get new, interesting characters who bring us new, interesting stories, which actually begins to fill the gaps that already exist within the Star Wars mythology. I love the story of Ben Mendelsohn's Orson Krennic, or Mads Mikkelsen's Galen Erso. That's not easy to say. And what it explained about the inception of the Death Star. Like, why does Fancy Pants here get a white uniform? Looks like a Nazi ice cream man. On that note, Rogue One is the scoop we've been waiting for. It is a new, delicious, and creamy flavor on top of an already decadent cake. Unless that cake is the prequels, and then it's that dried out fruit cake that nobody wants to eat with the crusty raisins inside, and it's been in your pantry for years because grandma gave it to you and you're not really sure if she can bake or if she ever could. You know what? I'm sidetracked. Rogue One is an earn it. Poll question, now that we have 8 Star Wars films, which one is your favorite? As always, leave your answers in the comments section below. Be sure to subscribe to Real School, follow me on Twitter, and of course, if you get anything out of Real School, you can always give a little back. It's the season of giving. Click the link, and you can become a member of my Patreon team. But until next time, school's out.